Oh, look at you. You found this little show here on the TV and joined us here. It's Mix It 3 with Cliff and Nat.
Hi there.
Hey there. Hope you're doing well today. Mm-hmm. You doing all right?
I am. How about you?
I'm okay. We got the memo. We didn't even try or
blue.
mean to, but yeah, sometimes it just snaps that way.
I was talking to Richard Rogers just a few minutes went on air, and he said, blue goes really well on TV. I said, yeah, I agree. When you say you can go wrong with black, but for TV, you cannot go wrong with blue.
Well, whatever slims you, because they say the camera puts 10 pounds on, right?
Yes.
So it's basically, well, I don't know if I'm,
so if you see
if I'm 10 pounds heavier or just about the same as I normally would be.
So if you see us in person, we are a lot skinnier, okay?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be this type of show, you can guarantee it. All right, so, as we said, hope you're doing well out there. We got a lot of stuff coming up here for the next 30 minutes. We hope you'll join us and have a little fun with us and maybe even learn something, too. We always do, that's for sure.
We always learn something, right? We always learn something new on the show, and I hope, like you said, I hope you do too.
For instance, like this, Gen Z, right? They are now the biggest dupe shoppers. Dupe. What is that word? It's dupes, short for duplicate. They're cheaper alternatives to premium or luxury products, and they are increasingly popular among Gen Z and millennial shoppers. Dupe meaning knockoffs.
Being cheap.
Right, well.
A Morning Consult survey found it's driven largely by social media. TikTok videos with the hashtag dupe have racked up in nearly 6 billion views to date, and 70% of intentional dupe shoppers have a TikTok account. So I think that's why they're making the connections that Gen Zers are.
I would say that.
Yeah.
It's like Nelly is an elephant. Elephants are pink, therefore Nelly is pink. So, you know, the Gen Z and millennials are all going to the TikTok, and so that's why they're doing it. What I don't like is they use that like a Google. Like they're researching for things, and they go to TikTok instead of actually Google or Bing or, you know, an actual search engine. It's not a search engine, it's TikTok. But yeah, the dupes, the knockoffs. I mean, I get they're saving money. They're trying to save money.
Yes.
Might not be entirely legal in some of these, but they are trying to save money.
They are.
Yes.
Can I go off, Ray? I was going to ask you something different.
Here we go now. What?
What was your search engine back in the day?
My search engine back in the day?
Yeah.
The yellow books.
Yeah.
That's what
I was going to say, like, encyclopedia.
Oh, well, I had those too.
Me too.
I had the entire set, thank you very much.
Me too.
Yes, that. But yeah, no, I mean, I was, yes, the internet was not around technically while I was still here. But yeah, the yellow books was always a thing for me. Then you go, you know, flip through the pages and see what was out there, and that's how you got it.
But I remember when internet came and I was in school, that was life-changing. I said, oh, that's a lot easier.
The interweb, as they used to call it, yes.
Yeah. But going back to the shoppers, yeah, I mean, I think it's a disservice to those who are, you know, those famous brands, luxury brands. True. They are there for a reason, and they spend a lot of money on craftsmanship. Well, I said this right. Yes. And
are you being endorsed?
No, I'm saying that save some money and buy the real stuff, and don't be a dupe shopper. Well,
maybe the real stuff needs to drop the price a little bit.
That too.
Okay. Just saying. Moving on here to animals now and pets. You might be a cat person, you might not be, and if you are, then you probably noticed this. Your cat may not be as aloof as you think they are. In fact, a new study suggests they're actually pretty expressive, especially with other felines. The researchers filmed, get this, 53 cats at a cat cafe in California between August of 21 and June of 22. They observed that 276 distinct facial expressions on the cats.
276. That's a lot. So the study authors say 45% of the expressions were friendly, while 37% were aggressive. They hope to expand the research to include cats living in multi-cat homes, and they would also like to try to find out what the expressions mean.
Feed me, most of them probably.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering, a friendly expression, that's when the ears and whiskers move forward while the eyes close, okay? An aggressive expression consists of constricted pupils, flattened ears, and a tongue swipe of the lips before they give you a swipe of their claws. I guarantee you that's what's about to happen. My daughter works at a cat rescue shelter up New York, and also has a cat cafe. So dozens of cats, okay? She's constantly coming home, you know, a little scratch here, a little nip there, but that's what she does. But I would love to have her see this just to figure out how many expressions she sees daily up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we have one cat in the house.
I was going to say, because you have a cat, so
Yeah.
you know this more than I do. So do you agree they have 276
I
facial
think my
expressions?
cat has multiple personalities because for once, seriously, he'll like want to crawl up and you like hold him like a baby, and then literally 3 seconds later, you've got a mark across your face, and then he's across the
Yeah.
floor.
I've seen it. He's come to work with the scratches, yeah.
You don't see it because of the
Because
makeup.
of makeup. All right, moving on. How much do you leave as a tip at a restaurant? So a majority of Americans say 15%. That's according to a Pew Research poll of 2,000 Americans.
57% of those surveyed say they tip 15% at a sit-down restaurant. Now, a quarter of people will leave 20% or more, and 2% say they don't tip at all. Now, the majority of those surveyed said, well, they're feeling the impact of what they call tempflation. 72% saying they're asked to tip more frequently now than they were 5 years ago. You know what? I'll go along and I'll agree with that. You know, they're finally, if you're in the F&B business, and I know many people who are, you know, they're only paid very little so hourly.
Right.
And then they rely on those tips. Now, there are different places where if you go someplace, they'll group all the tips together and then split it up evenly throughout the night. I don't like that. I never liked that idea. But I usually try to tip 20% if I can. Now,
Okay.
Always remember, though, if you're in groups of like 6 or more at a restaurant, they've already pre-tipped you. They've already added that gratuity.
Yeah.
So don't add on top of that unless you feel like they deserved it.
Yeah. You've seen those stories like $1,000 tip or $600,000. Oh, that's not $600.
Not for me. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Some people are very generous.
I got to pay for my burger and fries. Thank you very much. All right, coming up, we're going to be talking to a workplace strategist who is showing us how to protect mental health during turbulent times. Stick around for that. Mix at 3 continues right after the break. Welcome back to Mix at 3. Recent and ongoing events have the world reeling as people continue to try to go about their lives each day, including their work. It's difficult for the average employee to understand how to operate in the workplace under troubling circumstances.
We spoke with best-selling author Erica Caswin, who talked about some challenges in the workplace.
We are joined by top workplace strategist and best-selling author Erica Caswin. Erica, hi. Thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. That book behind you is the book we're talking about here, How to Protect Mental Health During Turbulent Times. It's the revolution here. Let's talk about this because you mentioned some items in the book that were just that really kind of catch our eye. Beneficial company culture. What is that? What does that look like?
Right. So a beneficial company culture today is really about making sure that people feel connected. Since the pandemic over the last couple of years, people are stressed. Mental health issues are way up. And I equate it to a pendulum. You know, we've gone from the Great Resignation to the Great or Not So Great Recession. We've gone into the office, home, and back again. And there's a Harvard psychologist, Amy Cuddy, who even coined a term to describe it, which she's said is the pandemic flux syndrome, which now is just the flux syndrome. And feeling in flux makes people feel really stressed. And so one of the things that we need to think about in the office that's most specifically tied to having a better company culture and to dealing with issues around mental health is to make sure that we have strong managers. Managers have always been a hard job, but it's never been as hard as it is now. And what I say and really believe is that these managers are on the front lines of the retention revolution. And we need to elevate the managers to make sure that they know what to do. And I'm happy to share specifics, but that really is key to a strong company culture today.
Oh, so important. Yes, very good. In another book that you wrote, you said that we should bring your human to work. Can you expand on that too?
Yeah. So, I started writing about the human workplace well before leaders and companies started talking about bringing your whole self to work over the last couple of years. And interestingly, when I wrote Bring Your Human to Work, originally people thought I was talking about my dog Cruiser, who, by the way, is a very human dog. But no, I was talking about bringing our whole selves. And one of the reasons why that's even more important now, I would say, than when I wrote it in 2018, is during the pandemic, many leaders were more human. Some of them, it was in their nature, and some of them it was by default. Because if we take ourselves back to March of 2020, which I would never want to go back to that time, but I also don't want to forget what I saw and what I felt. And that was leaders being more human. The kids were in the background. The dog was barking. The spouse was, or the partner was opening up the refrigerator. And what happened was, as I interviewed leaders during that very turbulent time, was that leaders who were more human had their employee engagement scores go up. Their employees were, even though the times were so scary, those employers were more satisfied with their job. They felt more connected to their managers. They were more innovative and they were more productive. And so again, while I wouldn't want to go back to that moment, we as leaders, we need to keep checking in. We need to ask people, how are you really doing? Which we were doing all the time in March of 2020. And that's why Bringing Your Human to Work now, we need to keep that front and center.
You bring up a great point here, and that's a question I want to ask you too, since the leaders ask how you're really doing. How can you communicate to an employer or to a leader that you might need a mental health break?
Yeah. So we saw that over the last couple of years that it's interesting. There's a school of leaders right now that believe that when people are working from home or working in a hybrid setting, they're not really working. It's a little bit old school. But what we've seen is that with this new hybrid and remote time built in, people are actually working more. They work in the morning, they take a break. They work in the afternoon, they take a break, and then they're working at night. And so what we're seeing is that it's really important for employees to take a break. And employees will only take a break if leaders model it. So leaders out there, managers out there, if you want your employees to take vacation days and make sure that they are their best selves to do their best work for the company, you need to model your own wellness.
You think our bosses are listening?
Yeah. Yes. Right. One more question, because now I'm looking at the importance of taking care of the employees. But the leaders, the managers that you've been mentioning too, they might also go on a mental crisis. Yes, and they also need to be taken care of. So who should they go to if they don't have anybody?
Well, they need to put their own oxygen masks on themselves first before they can start taking care of their employees, which we know. So hopefully they have a leader that they can go to. In my books, I have tons of data. Sometimes I say arm yourself with the data that shows why investing in yourself is important to play the long game, because it's good for you and good for your company. And so either hopefully you have a boss you can go to, hopefully someone in human resources is supportive, and all else being equal, go to the data, because it will show very clearly that without taking those breaks, you won't be able to continue in this fast-paced world.
Okay, great points. Great points to bring up here. Best-selling author and workplace strategist Erica Keswin, we appreciate the time that you spent with us here today, and great Retention Revolution. Be sure you check out that book in stores.
Thank you so much.
Great info from Erica.
Very important topics, yes.
Check that out as well.
And
coming up, do you know how to minimize the fitness impact when you're drinking alcohol? We've got the answer. That's coming up right after the break.
Well, a glass of wine here, a 10K run there. When should you consider foregoing alcohol in favor of fitness performance or overall wellness? Well, drinking can be still part of a healthy lifestyle if done in moderation.
That's right. Dr. Jed Ballard sat down with us to talk about how you can minimize the fitness impact when you're drinking alcohol. All right, back with Dr. Jed Ballard talking about fitness and alcohol, because those both go hand in hand. Sometimes too much, as a matter of fact. Jed, let's talk about this. Alcohol is a diuretic. It drains a lot of moisture out of your system as well. So you want to make sure that you're staying hydrated. Just not with the alcoholic drinks, you also want to include water with this as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of one of the big things with that, and that's one of the reasons it can lead to cramps and mess up your workouts the next day, is just the simple dehydration of it. So one of the best strategies would be every time you go to get a drink, just order a water as well. Tip your bartenders well when you do that so you don't annoy them. Yes. But yeah, that definitely will help out with how you feel in the morning and just the fitness impact of alcohol. Probably even decrease the amount you're drinking, which is going to be a win.
So to minimize these impacts, you're not saying that we should not drink alcohol at all, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about that now, because there's, with fitness, there's kind of an ideal, but I really like to preach how I actually live because I feel that's more practical. So first off, if you're not drinking, don't start. I'm sure you guys have heard a little bit of alcohol can be good for you, right? So,
yes.
Yeah. So you've heard that, and there are studies that definitely support it, can decrease your blood pressure and whatnot, but caveats. Number one, that's definitely in moderation, generally 1 to 2 max drinks. And then 2, the real benefits may even come just from the fact that when you're drinking, it tends to be a little bit of a sociality thing. And humans are social creatures, so it's just so good for you. But we should probably talk about the negatives of it if we're gonna touch on that too. Yeah. So downsides of drinking alcohol. Number one, it's 7 calories per gram, which just as a aside, that's slightly less than fat at 9 calories a gram. And protein and carbs are 4 calories a gram. So it's dense, so a lot of calories. Number 2, it's gonna decrease your sleep and your recovery. Number 3, it's gonna lower your testosterone a little bit. So there's a lot of reasons that alcohol just isn't great for fitness. But again, we're gonna talk about how to do it right, because I wanna preach, fitness how I actually live, not the perfection, because no one's perfect.
Let's talk about the caloric intake here, which you just mentioned here. For the people that are having, say, mixed drinks or something, you really need to focus on the calorie intake with those mixers.
You do, and that's probably my number one tip for drinking well from a fitness standpoint, is just really watch what you're drinking. So I like to say be a grown-up and drink better alcohol straight. And it really does matter, you drink, the good alcohol has got a great flavor to it. You drink it kind of slow, you sip it, it's enjoyable. When you're talking about something like a margarita, a pina colada, or just a rum and Coke, a lot of times that drink has 40 or 50 grams of sugar in it. So you're getting a huge sugar load in addition to the calories you're getting from alcohol. So either straight or just mix it with a little bit of soda water.
Okay. Are there any other drinks that you would recommend that it wouldn't cause too much damage?
Yeah, so again, there's kind of the moderation thing. If you're a wine drinker, I like all vices, so I'm kind of across the board on it, but they do make some lower calorie wines like the Fit Vine and stuff. I'm not a super connoisseur, but to me it tastes fine, and there's very low sugar in that. And just your overall amount you're taking in, right? So if you kind of limit that, and one of the ways to do that is if you skip carbs in your last meal, what it'll do, plus and minus of this, but basically you're gonna get drunk easier. Right. So it's cheaper, more effective to kind of get that level you're going for at a lower calorie cost.
And let's talk about this. Say you're planning on going out, you're going out with some friends or family, you know there's going to be some drinks involved, you know you're going to be planning to work out here, but so you really want to have the mental preparedness to make yourself do the right thing.
You do, Cliff, and that's anything in life. You want to set those mental boundaries and limitations when you're in a good frame of mind, when your willpower is strong, because if you wait until you're a couple drinks in, it is so easy to justify kind of any decision you want. So a big thing with the fitness hit on alcohol is, especially if you've been trying to lose weight, people tend to kind of binge eat after they get drunk. They'll get home from whatever they're at and then just kind of tear into whatever they want. So if you make that decision before you start, like, hey, I'm gonna let myself drink tonight, but I'm absolutely not eating when I get home, or the food stand and the bar, blah, 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 that'll help you out a lot. Definitely increase your chances of actually not doing it, to make that firm decision and tell yourself that beforehand.
Good things to take into effect, especially if you're going to go out and have a
Yeah.
little bit of a cheat weekend.
And like we always say here, in moderation.
Moderation.
Right?
All things in moderation.
Yes.
Absolutely right,
Alrighty.
Nat. Absolutely right.
And Uber.
And Uber.
And Uber. Uber is not in moderation. That hit will mess you up for a while.
Uber is a necessity. Okay, so
Correct.
that's what that is. Dr. Jed Ballard, thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate the info.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, stick around. Mix it 3. We'll be right back. Well, a mother and son fell victim to what's being called the package from hell. It wasn't so much what was in it, it's what happened when they stepped on it. Jenny Mose reports.
It's the modern day equivalent of Charlie Chaplin slipping on a banana peel. But instead of a peel, it was a package from Amazon that took out mother and son.
Look, a package. Don't step on it. Ooh, you okay? You didn't see that there, did you? What is this, a package from hell? Gee.
The package from hell had viewers in stitches. I'm going to hell. I laughed too hard. What part did you think was the funniest part?
When Mommy fell.
Says nearly 4-year-old William, especially after Mommy, Kristen Warrener, had just said to him,
You didn't see that there, did you?
And neither did you.
The Maryland mom says she was trying to scoot around the package, but rolled her ankle instead. Yikes.
The big question I've been asked was, are my bones made of rubber?
Because she got right up, uninjured.
That was crazy.
You did the better on the knee.
There's one thing Mom definitely did do best. People were very impressed that you didn't drop the baby.
Yeah.
Her 8-month-old stayed safe in her arms.
Yeah, I was actually very impressed with myself. I don't know how that happened.
Everyone wanted to know, so what was in this package from hell? Turns out just some liners for an air fryer, and now they've become a one-liner.
The package from hell.
Jeannie Mose, CNN,
This is a package from hell?
New York.
Ouch. Hey, have yourselves a great day, guys. We'll see you later.